Most people think retiring on Social Security means sacrifice. Smaller homes, smaller lives, smaller joy. That's the lie. The truth is stranger and way more fun. There are US cities where the math still works, the scenery still stuns, and your monthly check doesn't vanish like it fell into a casino slot machine. Places where rent behaves, taxes stay polite, and life slows down just enough to feel human again. This isn't about scraping by, it's about quietly winning. 10 cities, real numbers, real trade-offs, and a few places that feel like the economy forgot to update them. Let's count down. Number 10, Tallahassee, Florida. Tallahassee shouldn't work this well. It's a state capital with oak-lined streets, Spanish moss drama, and enough colleges to keep the coffee strong and the bookstores alive. And somehow, it still lets retirees live like the rent didn't get the inflation memo. Here's the math that makes people squint. Average monthly costs land around $995 for renters and about $1,248 for homeowners. That's Florida pricing without the Miami panic attack. Add in zero state income tax, plus the Florida homestead exemption, which can shave thousands off property taxes once you qualify, and suddenly your Social Security check stops gasping for air. Tallahassee is green, like aggressively green. Parks everywhere, canopy roads that look like movie sets, lakes that appear out of nowhere. You can walk downtown, sit under a 100-year-old oak, and feel smug about your budgeting skills. Healthcare access is solid thanks to major hospitals tied to the universities, and everyday costs like groceries and utilities stay below national averages. The trade-off? Summer arrives angry. The heat doesn't knock, it kicks the door in, and yes, hurricane season exists. But Tallahassee's inland position means it dodges the worst of coastal chaos. Retiring here feels like finding a loophole in a system that usually doesn't forgive mistakes. Quiet win, real beauty, very cooperative math. 9. El Paso, Texas. El Paso feels like the kind of place people overlook because it refuses to perform for tourists, and that's exactly why it works. Picture mountains cutting into the skyline, desert sunsets that look edited, and neighborhoods where your biggest daily threat is the sun deciding to show off. Then look at the numbers. Texas charges no state income tax. None. Zero. Add that to relatively modest housing costs, and retirees get breathing room. Homeowners over 65 also benefit from a school property tax ceiling, which freezes part of the tax bill in place like a financial fossil. Living costs sit well below national averages. Utilities are manageable. Healthcare access is stronger than people expect, thanks to major regional medical centers. And crime rates tend to undercut big city stereotypes, especially in established neighborhoods retirees actually choose. El Paso's rhythm is calm. Mornings are slow. Afternoons are bright. Evenings feel earned. It's culturally rich, food-obsessed in the best way, and far less expensive than flashier Texas cities that have lost their minds. The downside is obvious. Summer heat here isn't poetic. It's confrontational. You plan errands like military operations and learn to respect shade as a concept, and you'll need a car. Still, if you want a place where your Social Security check isn't immediately insulted, El Paso quietly delivers. Desert views, friendly taxes, and sunsets that feel like a reward for staying patient. 8. Pensacola, Florida. Pensacola looks like a postcard, but budgets like a practical adult. White sand beaches, emerald water, palm trees doing the most. And yet, retirees aren't priced out of oxygen. Monthly costs hover around $1,136 for renters and roughly $929 for homeowners. Yes, homeowners. Again, no state income tax, plus Florida's senior-friendly tax structure keeps long-term costs predictable. That's a rare sentence for a coastal city. Life here feels lighter. You wake up to salt air, you walk near water, you forget what rush hour anxiety felt like. Healthcare access is solid for a city this size, and everyday expenses like groceries stay manageable if you don't shop like you're hosting reality TV dinners. The catch is the one you expect: hurricanes and insurance. Not constant, but not imaginary either. You budget for it, you respect it, and you don't pretend beachfront living comes without footnotes. Pensacola's charm is balance. It gives you beauty without forcing you into financial gymnastics. It's a place where retirement doesn't feel like retreat. It feels like permission. #7. Greenville, South Carolina. Greenville feels curated, but the prices forgot to keep up. Brick downtown streets, a river park that looks like a brochure designer got emotional, restaurants that punch above their weight, and yet retirees can still afford to live here without developing a side hustle. South Carolina offers homestead exemptions that reduce property taxes for qualifying homeowners, which matters once you stop earning and start protecting cash flow. Housing costs remain below big coastal metros, utilities behave, and healthcare access is strong for a mid-sized city. Greenville shines because it feels alive without feeling chaotic. There's always something happening, but nothing screaming for attention. You can walk downtown, sit by the river, people watch, and feel like you made a competent life decision. The trade-off is popularity. Greenville isn't a secret anymore. That means some neighborhoods heat up faster than others. Pick carefully, and the math still works beautifully. This is the city for retirees who want conversation, beauty, and dignity without paying luxury prices. It doesn't beg you to move there. It just quietly makes sense. If this feels like the kind of math school never taught, hit like and subscribe. I'm breaking down where money still behaves and where it absolutely does not. You'll want the next few cities. They get weird in a very affordable way. #6. San Antonio. San Antonio is what happens when a major US city decides to stay polite. It's enormous, culturally rich, historically stacked, and somehow still affordable enough to not bully your Social Security check. Let's start with the part people underestimate. Texas has no state income tax. That alone is like giving retirees a quiet raise. Add the over 65 school property tax ceiling, which freezes a chunk of your property taxes in place, and suddenly long-term costs stop creeping up behind you at night. Housing prices are still reasonable compared to Austin or Dallas, and everyday expenses like groceries and utilities behave like they remember what money is worth. San Antonio is beautiful in layers. The Riverwalk winds through the city like it's showing off. Spanish missions sit quietly, reminding you this place was old before America got loud. Neighborhoods feel lived in, not staged. You can spend a morning walking historic streets, an afternoon eating dangerously good Tex-Mex, and still make it home before traffic tries anything funny. Healthcare access here is a real strength. Major hospital systems, specialists, and veteran-friendly facilities are everywhere. That matters when affordable also has to mean functional. Now, the honesty section. Summer heat here is not a suggestion. It's a lifestyle negotiation. You learn to schedule errands early, nap proudly, and respect air conditioning like a household deity. And the city is spread out, so a car isn't optional. Still, retiring in San Antonio feels like joining a big, warm, slightly chaotic family that doesn't charge membership fees. It's generous, it's human, and it quietly lets retirees live large without spending large. 5. Jacksonville. Jacksonville is massive, like confusingly massive. It's one of those cities where you can drive for 30 minutes, still be in town, and wonder if you crossed a time zone. And for retirees, that size is exactly why it works. Here's the math that makes Jacksonville behave. Homeowners average about $1,197 per month, while renters sit around $1,073. For Florida, that's borderline rebellious. Add no state income tax and the homestead exemption, which helps keep property taxes in check, and suddenly, your fixed income doesn't feel quite so fixed. Jacksonville is green, shockingly green. Parks, riverfronts, marshes, and quiet neighborhoods stretch out like the city never learned to crowd itself. You can live near the water without paying coastal panic prices. You can also live inland and save even more, which retirees tend to appreciate once novelty wears off. Healthcare access is strong, with major medical centers and specialists scattered across the metro. And unlike smaller towns, you're not sacrificing convenience. Airports, shopping, hospitals, and boring adult necessities are all close enough to matter. The trade-off is sprawl. Jacksonville doesn't come to you, you go to it. Driving is part of the deal, and traffic can remind you that yes, this is still Florida. Also, hurricane awareness is baked into the lifestyle. You plan, you prep, you don't panic. Jacksonville works because it doesn't pretend to be charming. It just gives you space, savings, and enough calm to build a routine that feels like a life, not a workaround. 4. Raleigh. Raleigh feels like the city version of someone who planned ahead. Clean streets, tree-lined neighborhoods, universities humming in the background like a good idea that never got annoying. And for retirees, it's one of the rare places where affordability and opportunity coexist without arguing. North Carolina offers homestead exclusions and senior property tax relief programs for qualifying homeowners, which helps control long-term housing costs. While Raleigh isn't the cheapest city on this list, its value-to-quality ratio is what earns it the spot. You pay a bit more, but you get infrastructure, healthcare, and options. And healthcare matters here. Major hospital systems, research facilities, and specialists are baked into the region thanks to the Research Triangle. That's not flashy, but it's priceless once appointments stop being hypothetical. Raleigh is beautiful in a calm way. Greenways weave through the city, neighborhoods feel intentional, the pace is relaxed without being sleepy. You can go to a museum, catch live music, or just walk a shaded trail and forget what stress used to feel like. The cost reality check is simple. Popularity pushes prices. Some neighborhoods move faster than others. Retiring here rewards people who choose carefully and don't chase the hottest zip code. Raleigh isn't cheap because it's ignored, it's affordable because it's balanced. And for retirees who still want stimulation without chaos, it feels like a city that respects your time, your money, and your blood pressure. 3. Milwaukee. Milwaukee is the city people forget until they see the numbers. Then they pause. Then they do the math again. Then they ask why no one talks about this more. Housing costs here remain dramatically lower than coastal cities, and overall living expenses sit well below the national average. For retirees, that means your Social Security check stretches farther without needing creative accounting. You're trading palm trees for lake views and getting paid for the inconvenience. Milwaukee is beautiful in an old soul way. Lake Michigan looks like an ocean that decided to behave. Historic neighborhoods feel solid, not flimsy. Brick buildings, tree-lined streets, and waterfront paths give the city a grounded, lived-in charm. Healthcare access is strong, with major hospital systems and specialists throughout the metro. Cultural life punches above its weight too. Museums, music, festivals, and food scenes that don't demand luxury pricing just to participate. Now let's address the elephant wearing a parka. Winter. It's real, it's long, and it does not care about your feelings. Snow isn't an event here. It's a season with opinions. You learn to layer, plan, and complain recreationally. But here's the thing, the cold keeps prices honest. And for retirees who can handle snow and appreciate quiet beauty, Milwaukee feels like a city that rewards patience with affordability, stability, and a surprisingly good life by the lake. Number 2, Providence. Providence feels like a city that accidentally stayed livable while its neighbors sprinted into six-figure mediocrity. It's historic without being stiff, cultured without being smug, and compact enough that you don't burn gas just to feel alive. If Boston is the overachieving older sibling, Providence is the one who figured out how to relax and still get by. Let's talk numbers, because this is the Northeast, and feelings alone won't save you. Providence consistently undercuts Boston by a wide margin on housing. Rents and home prices are lower, utilities behave better than you'd expect for New England, and walkability quietly saves retirees hundreds a month in transportation costs. You don't need a car here. That alone is financial sorcery in this part of the country. Rhode Island does have income taxes. And yes, Social Security can be taxed depending on income thresholds, which is the fine print nobody likes reading. But here's where Providence fights back. Smaller living footprints, short commutes, dense neighborhoods. You're not paying to sprawl. You're paying to exist efficiently. Providence is beautiful in a way that sneaks up on you. Brick streets, Federal Hill food that ruins your discipline, College Hill sunsets that feel staged, waterfire nights where the river literally catches fire and everyone pretends this is normal. You can walk from museums to coffee to live music without checking your bank app in fear. Healthcare access is strong thanks to teaching hospitals and proximity to major medical systems. And culturally, this city over-delivers. Arts, universities, restaurants, festivals, all without the financial hazing ritual of larger metros. The trade-off is simple. You're paying Northeast prices, just discounted. Winters exist, taxes exist. But compared to nearby cities that demand your soul and your savings, Providence feels like a reasonable compromise that still lets you feel clever for choosing it. Number 1. Las Vegas. Las Vegas at number 1 sounds unhinged until you look at the math, then it starts making uncomfortable sense. Nevada has no state income tax. None. Zero. That means your Social Security check, pensions, withdrawals, all land in your account without the state taking a sip first. For retirees, that's not a perk. That's a structural advantage. It's why Vegas keeps showing up on affordability lists even when people side-eye it like it's going to steal their wallet. Now let's be honest about the numbers. Homeowners average around $2,089 per month, and renters about $1,203. That's higher than many cities on this list, which is why Vegas lands here as the least affordable of the affordable. But taxes don't nibble at you. Healthcare costs tend to run lower than the national average, and utilities, while influenced by desert heat, stay predictable if you're not cooling a mansion. Here's where Vegas flips the script. Retirees don't live on the Strip. They live in quiet, master-planned neighborhoods where mornings are silent, sidewalks are clean, and mountains frame the horizon like a desktop wallpaper. Red Rock Canyon is minutes away. Desert sunsets look painted. The city is absurdly beautiful once you step away from neon. Healthcare access is deep. Specialists, hospitals, clinics everywhere. Infrastructure is built for scale, which means availability, and convenience is unmatched. Groceries at midnight? Yes. Appointments tomorrow? Also, yes. The real risk isn't cost, it's temptation. Vegas doesn't force you to overspend. It just presents opportunities very confidently. Retire here, and your biggest financial enemy isn't rent or taxes. It's thinking you're immune to fun. Handled responsibly, Las Vegas lets retirees keep more of their money than almost anywhere else on this list. Mishandled, it will absolutely laugh while you learn a lesson. If any of these cities made you rethink what retirement can look like, hit like and subscribe. I'm breaking down where your money still works, where it lies to you, and how to retire without feeling like you lost the plot.